From 6A to 6-man, there are big Texas high school football games all around the state in Week 5. These are the picks. Welcome into the picks, your guide to the Texas high school football weekend. My name is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football and TexasFootball.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. I don't mean to alarm anyone, but we are actually approaching the midway point of the 2018 Texas high school football regular season. Now, don't worry, there's still plenty of football left to play, and it's only going to get better from here, but we are pretty deep into the season. We're starting to get a feel for what teams look like, which teams are rising to the top, and we're going to do that again in Week 5. Big games all across the Lone Star State. We start in Mart. 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Mart ISD Athletic Complex. It's a must-see 2A matchup between the Refugio Bobcats and the Mart Panthers. What are the keys to this matchup? Well, key number 1, the first quarter. This is where it all starts, quite literally, for Mart. It's their highest scoring quarter and by far their best one. The Panthers like to jump out to an early lead and suffocate their opponent from there. In fact, the only time they haven't scored in the first quarter this year was in their loss to Franklin a couple of weeks ago. So this is a huge key for Mart. Can they start off hot with their running back Tyrick Horn and their quarterback Kyler Martin, or will Refugio hold it down and stay in the game in the first quarter? Key number 2, the flex cat. You got to pay attention to Refugio every single year to figure out exactly what kind of offense they're going to run. You remember a few years back they were this wide open spread offense throwing it all over the field. Then last year they went to that more I formation running game, and now they're running the flex cat formation with their option attack led by their running back Ysidro Mascoro. But this has been a bit of a transition for them. It hasn't been all sunshine and daffodils for this new look offense. In fact, it's kind of scuffled at times. Now look, last week against Hebbronville, they were fantastic, and it seemed like they got their feet underneath it. But what is the state of the new Refugio offensive scheme? That's a huge key in this one. And key number 3, 282 days. That's how long it will have been since Mart and Refugio last played, of course, in the 2A Division I state championship game, in which Mart came away with a come-from-behind 34-21 win to win their 6th state championship. Neither of these teams have forgotten that, most especially Refugio, which is not a team that's used to going to state championship games and losing. There is a lot of history between these two teams. Who can control their emotions and come up with the big play? Who am I picking? I'm going with Mart. I think being at home helps. That's a bit of a haul for Refugio to get up to Central Texas, but I also think their running game with Shetydrick Bailey and Tyrick Horn is really fantastic, and their defensive team speed is pretty impressive. Now, I do think that Refugio's offense is starting to get its legs underneath it. I think last week their big win over Hebbronville was just a start, and if they can get a couple of big plays from their receiver Jake Tinsman, I think this bodes very well for the Bobcats. But for now, I think this game plays out pretty similarly to what we saw at the 2A Division I state championship game last year. I think Mart comes away with a win. Let's go to San Antonio, 11 a.m. Saturday at Ferris Stadium in San Antonio. It's a matchup between the Brownsville Hanna Eagles and the Amarillo Tascosa Rebels. What are the keys to this matchup? Well, key number 1, wait, what? What are these two teams doing playing each other? This is part of a 2-6A versus 32-6A matchup here in Week 5, where we've got bunch of teams from West Texas playing a bunch of teams from the Rio Grande Valley, and there is a lot of travel involved in this. Brownsville Hanna is going more than 250 miles, and Tascosa is traveling more than 400 miles for this game. There are so many different elements to this matchup, most notably that neither of these teams know each other at all. Who can handle all the things that happen outside of the game once the game starts? Key number 2, who rules the ground game? And this is the key in this one for me. Both these teams are ground-based attacks. Yes, they can throw the ball off of play action, but make no mistake, if they are not running the ball, both these teams are playing from behind. But both these teams run the ball really, really well. Hanna is averaging more than 6 yards per carry with their outstanding running back Cesar Mencias, and on the other side, Tascosa is averaging almost 6.7 yards per carry behind their running back King Dorud. These teams are going to grind it out. This game's going to be over in about 25 minutes, it seems like. But my question is, who can come up with those big breakout runs? Who can break off a 15, 20-yard run in a game that's probably going to be won in the trenches? Who can control the ground game? And key number 3, turnover margin. In a game like this with two teams that are pretty much entirely unfamiliar with one another, one thing I like to look at here is who wins the turnover battle. And these are two defenses that kind of go about it in different ways. Tascosa tends to give up more yards, but they come up with the big plays. They've got 6 turnovers in their 4 games so far. And on the other side, Hanna, they are pretty stymieing up front, but can't come up with that big play. So, in a game that's probably going to be close, in a game that's probably going to be decided by 1 or 2 big plays, who can come up with that defensive stop at the key moment? Who am I picking? I'm going with Hanna. There's a number of reasons for this, but first and foremost, this is just a bizarre matchup between two teams from opposite ends of the state. I'm excited for it to happen at all. But for me, I think the difference here is the Hanna defense. Their defense has been really solid all year. I think they're one of the best teams in the Rio Grande Valley. Tascosa's definitely going to have a chance to win this game, especially if they can hit a couple of plays off of play action whenever they pull the ball from the outstanding running back King Doru. But for now, I think the Eagles are coming away with a win in this very strange cross-regional matchup. 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Midlothian ISD Stadium. It is a big-time 4A clash between the Midlothian Heritage Jaguars and the Waco La Vega Pirates. Can La Vega, which scored 6 second-half touchdowns against Pflugerville last week, keep the offensive momentum going? That's a huge question in this one, considering they're probably going to have to score. Midlothian Heritage and their quarterback Landon Ledbetter is hitting on all cylinders right now. For now, I think it's close. Could be a shootout, but I like Heritage. 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Tiger Stadium in Goliad. It's a 3A versus 2A clash as the Goliad Tigers take on the Shiner Comanches. Two teams at the top of the Dave Campbell's Texas football rankings in different classifications. This is going to be must-see TV. Goliad's done everything you could possibly want from them so far. Dontavian Clay, their do-it-all athlete, is literally doing it all. On the other side, you know, Shiner's defense gets a ton of attention, and for good reason. Their defense is really good. But remember, they can score when they need to. They hung 63 on Burton just a couple of weeks ago. I think this game is close. It's a big challenge for Goliad, but I do think the Tigers come away with a narrow victory. 6:30 p.m. Friday night at Legacy Stadium in Katy. It is a district showdown between the Katy 7 Lake Spartans and the Katy Tompkins Falcons. And hey, Tompkins off to a 4-0 start, one of the biggest surprises in the Houston area. Their defense has been fantastic, and they are grinding it out with their outstanding running back, R.J. Smith. But I do think that this is their toughest test to date. 7 Lakes is playing some fantastic defense, led by Nathaniel Hawkins. This is a really critical matchup in this district. Excited to see how it shakes out. I do think Tompkins is for real, but I think 7 Lakes comes up with one extra stop. Give me the Spartans. 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Tiger Stadium in College Station. It is another big-time district showdown as the A&M Consolidated Tigers take on the Huntsville Hornets. And look, the question here, I think, is very clear. Can the Huntsville offense, led by their terrific quarterback, Matthew Southern, find a way past this A&M Consolidated defense that has given up 1 touchdown in their 3 games? That's the whole ball game here. Can the Huntsville offense crack the code? For now, I think being at home helps. Give me Consolidated. And let's go out west, 7:30 p.m. Friday night at Cub Stadium in Brownfield. Shallowater visits Brownfield. And look, if you haven't paid a whole lot of attention to what Shallowater is doing, they're averaging 43 points per game, including averaging 30 points in the first quarter. That's ridiculous. Their quarterback, Cutter Sparks, has been great. Now, look, I think Brownfield's a different test. They got a pretty good defense, and they grind it out with their running back, Chili Marin. But for now, I just think that the way that Shallowater's scoring the ball is so impressive. Give me Cutter Sparks and the Mustangs. But those are far from the only big games in Week 5 of the Texas high school football season. Let's get to the lightning round. Munster beats Valley View, Collinsville beats Seymour in a battle of unbeatens, and San Antonio Warren beats San Antonio Stevens. Orangefield takes down Buena to stay unbeaten. Midland Lee beats San Benito in another one of those crazy cross-regional matchups, and Melissa beats Paris. Magnolia West edges Tomball. Longview stays perfect. They beat Rockwall, and Eagle Pass Wind takes down Laredo United. Port Lavaca Calhoun sneaks by Gregory. Portland Newton soars past Gilmer to stay unbeaten. And give me Stephenville over Georgetown. Lorena beats Fairfield. El Paso Pebble Hills beats El Paso Eastlake. And give me Winters to beat Cristoval. 2 big games in Bernie this weekend. I like Medina Valley over Bernie Champion. And Bernie beats Fredericksburg. Cisco keeps rolling with a win over Ballinger. And in our 6-man game of the week, I like Garden City over Rankin. And those are the picks. What am I wrong about? Which games did I leave out? Leave comments down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/DaveCampbells. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/DaveCampbells. And of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Thanks for watching. Enjoy Week 5 of the Texas high school football season. We'll see you.